Hello everyone, and welcome to PsychProg, your deep dive channel into the universe of progressive and psychedelic rock. Have you ever stood at the edge of the ocean at dusk, watching the light fade, and felt a sense of immense, beautiful, and slightly terrifying mystery, a feeling that you're a tiny part of something ancient and incomprehensibly vast? That feeling, captured in sound, is what we're going to explore today. We are about to embark on a journey into one of the most pivotal, beautiful, and frankly, weird albums in rock history, Pink Floyd's 1971 masterpiece, MEDDLE. This is the album where four musicians, lost in the cosmic wilderness after the departure of their founding genius, found not only a new direction, but their collective soul. It's the sonic blueprint for everything that would make them global superstars. So, before we drop the needle on this incredible piece of vinyl history, please do me a huge favor. Hit that subscribe button for PsychProg, give this video a thumbs up, and share it with anyone you think needs a bit of cosmic exploration in their life. Your support helps us keep these historical deep dives going. Now, get comfortable, open your mind, and let's journey together into the sound of a band discovering itself. To truly grasp the monumental achievement of MEDDLE, we have to understand the precarious position Pink Floyd was in at the dawn of the 1970s. The band that had burst onto the London underground scene in 1967 with the whimsical LSD-fueled genius of Syd Barrett was gone. Barrett, the band's brilliant, incandescent leader and principal songwriter, had tragically spiraled out of reach, a casualty of immense pressure and psychedelic excess. His replacement, the gifted guitarist and vocalist David Gilmour, had helped the band survive, but a crucial question lingered in the air like a ghostly echo. Who were Pink Floyd without Syd? Their previous albums, Ummagumma and Atom Heart Mother, were fascinating, sprawling, and often chaotic experiments. They were the sound of a band throwing everything at the wall to see what stuck. There were moments of brilliance, for sure, but they lacked a unified vision. They were, in their own words, a bit of a mess. Rock music itself was in a state of flux. The Beatles were no more, the dream of the 60s was curdling, and the music was getting heavier, more complex, more ambitious. Bands like Led Zeppelin were forging monolithic hard rock. King Crimson was architecting a new, terrifyingly complex form of progressive rock, and singer-songwriters were turning inward. Pink Floyd, the pioneers of space rock, were in danger of becoming adrift in that very space they helped to chart. They entered AIR Studios and Abbey Road in 1971, not with a grand concept, but with a series of fragmented musical experiments, a process they dubbed Nothings, Son of Nothings, and Return of the Son of Nothings. They were searching, improvising, listening to each other in a way they hadn't been forced to before. MEDDLE is the glorious result of that search. It is less a collection of songs and more of a sonic diary of a band forging a new identity, piece by piece, sound by sound. Let's begin our listening journey. The album doesn't start with a guitar riff or a drum beat. It starts with the sound of wind. Not a gentle breeze, but a desolate, eerie gale howling across a vast, empty landscape. It's disorienting. Where are we? Then, through the wind, a single, pulsing note emerges. It's Roger Waters's bass guitar, fed through a Leslie speaker, the kind of rotating speaker that gives a Hammond organ its signature shimmering sound. The pulse is like a heartbeat, or perhaps a distant rhythmic machine. A few seconds later, a second bass line joins it. This is David Gilmour, also on bass, playing higher, more melodic phrases that weave around Waters' anchor. This two-bass guitar opening is utterly unique in rock music at the time. It's not about ego or showing off. It's about creating a texture, a mood of tense anticipation. This is the opening of One of These Days, and it is one of the most cinematic and effective album openers ever recorded. This isn't just an instrumental. It's a statement of intent. It's heavy, it's aggressive, and it's meticulously constructed. Listen to how Nick Mason's drums enter, not with a crash, but with echoing, tribal-sounding tom-toms that build the tension layer by layer. The cymbals are drenched in echo, making them sound like shards of glass shattering in a giant cavern. The entire track is a masterclass in using the studio as an instrument. The heavy use of the Benson Echo Rec, an Italian-made tape delay unit, is what gives the track its cavernous, swirling, psychedelic quality. Gilmour's slide guitar doesn't just play notes. It screams, it wails, it dive-bombs through the sonic space. The band is painting with sound. Then, around the 3.5-minute mark, the music breaks down, leaving only the wind and a throbbing, menacing pulse. And from the void comes the only lyric on the entire track, a distorted, pitch-shifted, demonic voice, courtesy of drummer Nick Mason. One of these days I'm going to cut you into little pieces. It's genuinely terrifying. The line was reputedly aimed at a famously annoying BBC DJ, Jimmy Young, but in the context of the music, it feels like a primal scream from the id, a release of pure, unadulterated aggression. The track then explodes back into a driving, almost proto-metal rhythm, a powerful, cathartic release of all the built-up tension before fading back out into the wind from whence it came, leaving you breathless. One of these days proved that Pink Floyd could be powerful and visceral without a single pop hook, relying purely on atmosphere, dynamics, and instrumental prowess. They weren't just the spacey band anymore. They could be a heavyweight rock machine. After the storm comes the calm. The transition from the violent conclusion of One of These Days into the opening of the second track, A Pillow of Winds, is one of the most beautiful and jarring contrasts in their entire catalog. The howling wind seamlessly crossfades into a gentle, pastoral breeze, and we are transported from a terrifying, apocalyptic landscape to a lazy, sun-dappled English afternoon. The song is built around two acoustic guitars, one played by Gilmour in a standard tuning and the other by Waters in an open E minor tuning, creating a lush, hypnotic drone. This is a technique folk guitarists had been using for ages, but it was relatively new in a mainstream rock context. It creates a feeling of stasis, of timelessness. Gilmour's fretless bass playing here is wonderfully melodic and fluid, almost like a cello, while his slide guitar work is no longer screaming, but sighing with a gentle, melancholic beauty. The lyrics, primarily penned by Waters and Gilmour, are a world away from the sci-fi and fantasy themes of early prog. They are intimate, domestic, and deeply romantic. A cloud of eiderdown lies heavy on the ground. The slumber of the earth is deep. It's a song about waking up next to a lover, the quiet intimacy of a shared morning. Lines like, "And the candle dies, and now the night is gone," paint a vivid, peaceful picture. The song feels like a sigh of relief. It's Pink Floyd at their most human and grounded. This track is crucial because it demonstrates the band's growing confidence in subtlety and restraint. They didn't need to be loud or experimental to be compelling. The real experiment here was with emotion and quietude. The song's structure is also noteworthy. It drifts and meanders, never quite settling into a standard verse-chorus-verse pattern, much like the lazy thoughts one has just after waking. It's a beautiful, hazy watercolor of a song, and a necessary breath of fresh air before the album takes another left turn. That left turn is fearless. The song begins with a strange, looping and incredibly infectious guitar riff from Gilmour, again using an open G tuning he learned from his old friend Syd Barrett. This gives the riff a resonant, chiming quality that's hard to replicate. The rhythm is a slow, confident, almost swaggering stomp. It feels optimistic, but with an underlying edge of melancholy. Lyrically, this is Roger Waters coming into his own as a social commentator, a role he would fully embrace in the years to come. The song is about confronting your own anxieties and the idiocy of the crowd with a kind of defiant self-belief. The fearless idiot in the song climbs a hill not for some grand purpose, but simply to stand against the jeering mob below. "You just pick a place to stand and listen," Gilmour sings, a line that perfectly encapsulates a kind of stoic individualism. Waters is exploring themes of alienation and the search for meaning in a seemingly pointless world, themes that would become the bedrock of The Dark Side of the Moon and The Wall. Musically, the song is deceptively complex. Richard writes, "Piano work adds a layer of classical elegance, while Mason and Waters lock into a groove that is both solid and spacious, leaving plenty of room for Gilmour's soulful guitar fills." But the most audacious and memorable part of Fearless is its ending. As the song fades out, it's replaced by a field recording of a football stadium. We hear the massive crowd at Anfield, the home of Liverpool Football Club, singing their anthem, "You'll Never Walk Alone." This was a revolutionary move in 1971. Using a found sound of this nature, not as a brief sound effect but as the song's entire coda, was unheard of. It takes the song's theme of individual defiance and connects it to a feeling of communal strength and solidarity. It's a moment of unexpected, profound, and spine-tingling emotion. It's a reminder that even when you feel like an isolated idiot on the hill, you are part of a larger human family. It's a masterstroke of conceptual art embedded in a rock song. Just when you think you have a handle on MEDDLE's mood, a blend of aggression, pastoral beauty, and defiant introspection, the album throws a complete curveball with Saint-Tropez. This track, written and sung entirely by Roger Waters, sounds like nothing else in the Pink Floyd canon. It's a breezy, jazz-inflected swing-light number that would sound more at home on a French Riviera postcard from the 1930s than on a progressive rock album from 1971. The tone is light, whimsical, and slightly lazy. Waters' lyrics paint a picture of a simple, idyllic day on the Mediterranean coast. Waking in the morning sun, I'm breaking my bread and drinking my wine. It features a wonderfully understated piano solo from Richard Wright that shows off his jazz sensibilities and a short, playful slide guitar solo from Gilmour. For years, many fans dismissed this song as slight, a piece of fluff. But to do so is to miss the point. Saint-Tropez is a deliberate stylistic detour. It's a sonic palate cleanser. It showcases the band's versatility and, crucially, their sense of humor. In the often overly serious and self-important world of early progressive rock, this kind of lightheartedness was rare. It demonstrates that Pink Floyd weren't bound by any genre expectations. They could be a heavy instrumental band, a pastoral folk group, a defiant rock act, and a jazzy pop combo, all on the same side of an LP. It also serves an important structural purpose on the album, providing a moment of levity and sunshine before the record descends into its strangest and most challenging moment. And that moment has a name: Seamus. This is it. This is the track that has divided Pink Floyd fans for over 50 years. This is the point where many a casual listener has lifted the needle, utterly bewildered. The song is, on the surface, a simple, plodding 12-bar blues tune. David Gilmour handles the acoustic guitar and weary lead vocal, singing about a dog named Seamus who's outside crying. The challenge, the point of tension for you as a listener is this. The primary instrument on this track is the howling of Seamus the dog himself, who belonged to Steve Marriott of Small Faces and Humble Pie fame. Yes, a howling dog. Now, I know what you're thinking. A joke? A throwaway track to fill space? It's easy to see it that way, but I want to challenge you to listen a bit deeper. Stick with me here. Consider Seamus not as a song in the traditional sense, but as an experiment in musique concrète, the avant-garde technique of using recorded sounds as raw musical material. The band had been toying with this for years. Here they take the most basic of all rock forms, the blues, and overlay it with a sound from the real world. The dog isn't just howling randomly. Its cries and whimpers interact with Gilmour's vocals, creating a strange, sad, and oddly compelling duet. Is it successful? That's for you to decide, but it's undeniably brave. It's a provocation. It challenges our very definition of what music is. It's the band pushing the boundaries to their absolute limit, asking the listener, "Are you still with us? How open-minded are you, really?" It's a testament to the experimental spirit that still burned within them, a final, absurd wink to the anarchic spirit of Syd Barrett before they embarked on the most ambitious and serious composition of their career. And before we dive headfirst into the oceanic masterpiece that is the entire second side of this album, if you're enjoying this guided tour through the corridors of rock history, please take a moment to support the PsychProg channel. A quick click on the subscribe button and a like on the video makes a huge difference and allows me to create more content just like this. Sharing it with a friend who's curious about this music would be even better. Your engagement is the fuel for this project. Thank you so much for that. Now, turn the record over. Side B of MEDDLE contains one track, one monumental 23.5-minute epic that would not only define the album, but would lay the entire foundation for the Pink Floyd sound to come. This is Echoes, and this is the point of supreme suspension and expectation. Everything on Side A, the aggression, the beauty, the defiance, the whimsy, the absurdity, was a prelude, a clearing of the throat for this. Echoes is where the four members of Pink Floyd finally, unequivocally locked in and became something more than the sum of their parts. It is the sound of them finding their collective voice. The piece begins with a single high-pitched note, repeated with a ghostly aqueous echo, the famous ping. This sound alone is a piece of studio magic. It was created by Richard Wright, who fed a single note from his grand piano through a Leslie rotating speaker. It sounds like sonar, a signal sent out into a vast, dark, underwater abyss, waiting for a response. It immediately establishes an atmosphere of immense space and mystery. Then Gilmour's guitar enters, not with a riff, but with mournful, volume-swelled notes that sound like whale song. The sound is clean, patient, and incredibly evocative. The band takes their time. They are building a world for you to inhabit. After nearly 2 minutes of this atmospheric scene setting, the song proper begins. The chord progression is simple, but haunting, and then the vocals enter. David Gilmour and Richard Wright singing in close, ethereal harmony. Their voices blend so perfectly they almost sound like a single, otherworldly entity. And the lyrics, penned by Waters, are a quantum leap in sophistication and depth. Overhead, the albatross hangs motionless upon the air, and deep beneath the rolling waves and labyrinths of coral caves. This is no longer about gnomes or scarecrows. This is poetry. The lyrics explore profound themes of empathy, communication, and the potential for human connection. The central idea is that our actions, like a sound, echo out into the world and eventually return to us. The lines, strangers passing in the street, by chance 2 separate glances meet, and I am you and what I see is me, are perhaps the most concise and beautiful expression of human empathy in the entire rock lexicon. It suggests a deep, almost mystical connection between all people, a theme that would resonate throughout their later work. Following the verses, the song transitions into its first major instrumental section. This is where the band's instrumental chemistry truly ignites. Mason's drumming is crisp and inventive. Waters lays down a driving, melodic bass line, and Gilmour unleashes the first of his signature guitar solos. His playing here is a revelation. It's not just fast or technical. It's lyrical, emotional, and perfectly phrased. Every note feels like it means something. He bends and holds notes with a soaring vocal quality that would become his trademark. Underneath it all, Richard Wright's Hammond organ provides a rich, warm, swelling cushion of sound, the essential glue holding the entire piece together. But just as you're getting comfortable in this majestic rock groove, the band pulls the rug out from under you. Around the 7-minute mark, the music dissolves into one of the most celebrated and terrifying sections in their discography, a middle passage often referred to by the band as the funky dung. The rhythm section shifts into a sparse, syncopated, almost funk-like groove, over which Gilmour plays a rhythmic, percussive, wah-wah inflected guitar part. It's gritty and raw, but then this groove slowly deconstructs itself. It falls apart into a vast, abstract soundscape. This is the heart of the abyss that the opening ping hinted at. For the next several minutes, we are plunged into a primeval alien world. We hear what sounds like wind, bubbling mud, and most unnervingly, high-pitched, shrieking sounds. These screams were created by Gilmour, accidentally plugging his wah-wah pedal in backwards, creating a piercing seagull-like shriek that he then manipulated with his volume and tone controls. It's pure, terrifying sound design. It represents a descent, a journey through a dark, pre-conscious, or perhaps post-apocalyptic landscape. It's the musical equivalent of the monolith sequence in Stanley Kubrick's 2001, A Space Odyssey. This section is a test of endurance, a sonic journey into the unknown that pushes the boundaries of what a rock band could put on a record. And then, just as the chaos reaches its peak, a glimmer of hope. From the depths of the sonic sludge, we hear a familiar sound. The sonar ping returns, calling us back. Richard Wright's Hammond organ begins to swell, playing a series of majestic chords that rise up out of the darkness like a sunrise. It's an incredibly powerful and emotional moment of rebirth. The band slowly rebuilds the main theme, piece by piece, and we emerge back into the light for the final verse. The return of Gilmour and Wright's harmonious vocals feels like a homecoming, a reaffirmation of the song's central message of connection after a harrowing journey through alienation and chaos. The final solo from Gilmour is one of his most triumphant and beautiful, a soaring flight of liberation. The song and the album concludes with one final brilliant piece of auditory illusion. The main musical theme fades away, leaving a sound that seems to be endlessly rising in pitch, a phenomenon known as a shepherd tone. It creates a feeling of infinite ascension, of a cycle that never truly ends. It doesn't resolve, it just continues upwards, into eternity, leaving the listener suspended in a state of wonder. Echoes is more than a song. It's a symphony. It's a journey, a statement, and a masterpiece of collaborative creation. It contains the heavy rock power of One of These Days, the atmospheric beauty of A Pillow of Winds, the conceptual depth of Fearless, and the experimental bravery of Seamus, all fused into one cohesive, breathtaking whole. It is the DNA of everything Pink Floyd would become. The long-form, conceptually linked structure, the use of sound effects to create atmosphere, the blend of musical power with lyrical philosophy. It all starts here. Without echoes, there is no The Dark Side of the Moon, no Wish You Were Here, no The Wall. So, what is MEDDLE? It's a bridge. It's a bridge from the psychedelic whimsy of the band's past to the epic conceptual majesty of their future. It's the sound of four supremely talented musicians, forced by circumstance to rely on each other, discovering that their combined musical intelligence was a force of nature. It's an album of stunning contrasts, brutal and gentle, cosmic and domestic, cynical and hopeful, abstract and deeply human. It asks a lot of its listener. It asks for patience, for an open mind, and for a willingness to be challenged. But the rewards it offers are immense. It's an album that grows with you, revealing new layers and new meanings with every listen. For any young music fan curious about progressive rock, MEDDLE is the perfect, if challenging, entry point. It captures a legendary band at the exact moment they found their magic, bottling the lightning of pure, unadulterated musical discovery. Thank you for taking this deep dive with me today. I hope this guided tour has helped you navigate the beautiful and bizarre waters of MEDDLE and given you a new appreciation for its genius. If you enjoyed this journey, please, one last time, make sure you are subscribed to PsychProg. There are many more albums and stories to explore together. Check out our other videos on the seminal works of prog and psych rock. Leave a comment below with your own thoughts on MEDDLE or suggest an album you'd like us to cover next. Until next time, keep listening and keep exploring.